All right. This is the last highlight stat show we'll have for the GCGL for this year. Season ended, as you possibly knew. Swartz Creek won the title. Here's the final standings. Montrose won the North, and Swartz Creek won the South. And those two teams met in the final. And Swartz Creek won it handily. They pretty much dominated the year. Uh, Montrose had a good year, had some good showings, but they just were not enough for Swartz Creek. So Burton finished dead last in both leagues, 1-7. They were, you can see by the points for 101. They just did not have offensively. They did not fare well at all. They just could not score. They couldn't. Um, they didn't have any playmakers at all this year. Quarterback, running back, receivers were just horrible. Defensively, they held their own, but they could. Their offense did them no favors at all. But Swartz Creek was the champion. So let's look at the offenses and defenses in the league. Uh, Swartz Creek definitely top offense in the league, 32 points a game. Montrose finished second at 31 points a game. So those are the two teams that won their divisions, and they had the best offenses in the league. Flint was next at 28.9, and there you go. Burton averaged 12.6 points per game. That's not going to win you many games in the GCGL. Defensively, Grand Blanc had the top defense, 18.5 points a game. They finished 5-3 on the season. Didn't make the playoffs. They got beat out by Flint. Early on, they looked like they were headed for a big year, but they ever since they got beat by Swartz Creek, the battle of the undefeated teams back, I think it was week 5 or week 4, they kind of just slid off after that, off the map. Swartz Creek had the second best defense, so they had the best offense and the second best defense in the league, 22 points a game. The worst defense, though, Clio, 32.5 points a game. And that's a little bit of a misnomer because they had a game against Swartz Creek earlier in the season where Swartz Creek just could not stop scoring. This probably helped Swartz Creek points per game, too. They scored 75 points against Clio, and that pretty much, I think, ruined Clio's defensive totals and helped Swartz Creek's offensive totals. But most of the teams were between 25 and 26 points allowed, and everybody was relatively in the 20s as far as offense, besides Burton, of course. All right, and then we'll go to league leaders. And these are the final totals. Rushing, Radal Benson from the Flushing Raptors won the title with 835 yards rushing. He was well ahead of the second place Grand Blanc's Mashawn Evans, who had 639. Kyler White for Montrose had a good year catching and running. We'll see him later in the total yards. Receivers, Jamie Rogers had a strong finish to the season for Clio, as their passing attack in Clio was surprisingly good, especially with a rookie quarterback. Rogers was the only 1,000 yard receiver in the league at 1,041 yards. Swartz Creek's Wesley Pierce had 987. And Darrell Bryce, who kind of fell off towards the end of the season, he was having a big year, and then kind of the last few games did not put up the numbers the Flint was accustomed to. Rushing touchdowns, Rodell Benson had 4, and Burke Butler, the only wide receiver, who had as many as Benson, also had 4 for Grand Blanc. Receiving touchdowns, Wesley Pierce had 7 touchdowns. Rogers finished second with 6. And then the quarterback, like we were talking about for Clio. Oh, that's also what I was going to say is receiving. Clio had Jamie Rogers. He also had another gentleman, Connor Kelly, who had a pretty good year as well. And the quarterback, Martin Keller, huge year for him. Led the league with 1,550 yards passing. DJ Tyler made a bid to overtake him in the end, but fell short. He had 1,458. And Austin Todd had 1,371. So, of the 10 quarterbacks, only 3 of them were under 1,000 yards. And as you see, Terrell Green for Burton, who had the least productive offense, had only 771 yards passing. Touchdown passes, Martin Keller, Caleb Green, and Austin Todd each tied with 7. And the total yards, Wesley Pierce had 1,445 yards. Jamie Rogers was second with 1,210. He didn't run the ball that much. Darrell Bryce had 1,129 yards. Reggie Williamson and Jack James led all defenders with 10 stops on the year. Reggie Williamson was the shutdown corner for Davison. Pax Reed had 9 stops for Montrose. And Gary Smith and Kurt Fisher each had 8. Then we go to sacks. Jack James not only had 10 stops, but he had 5 sacks on the year to lead all defensive players. And INTs, Darren Patterson for Clio had 3, and 4 others had 2. Hadley Reed, Kevin Doyle, Torrey Jackson, and Reggie Williamson for Davison. So there you have it. Definitely, Rodell Benson was the running back of the year, I would say. Receiver of the year has to go to Jamie Rogers. Quarterback of the year, definitely Martin Keller. And then defensive player of the year, I would say Jack James, as he had 10 stops and 5 sacks. And total MVP of the league, I would give it to Wesley Pierce for Swartz Creek. They won the title. He had total yards. He was a dual weapon, more than any of the other guys. I have to make a special mention of Kyler White for Montrose, who was listed in this. He was the first running back listed in the total yards stat here. He actually finished, he had 572 yards rushing, and he had another almost 400 yards receiving to give him 984 yards total yards. So he had a really good, strong year for him. So, and they finished first in their division, so hopefully they'll spur them to some bigger things next year. But overall, it was a great season. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the draft. Putting that together now, and hopefully um, soon here I will. By soon, I might do it today. I might do it in a week. I don't know yet. I'm putting everything together for it, using all the really cool add-ons that people have posted on Stone Mountain Press website, um, and that will be fun. I like to try to do it live. I'm not very good live, but I might try to do that live to kind of give a little more interest to it. And I've got the draft list already printed out, and we'll see how it goes. It should be fun. But within the next week or so, I definitely will be planning on doing that. All right. Well, thanks for watching. It was a great season. I look forward to next year. I haven't decided if there will be any kind of expansion or not. I really wanted to see how it went with 8 teams or 10 teams. Um, so I may do add another 2 teams to the list. I don't know yet. We will find out, and I'll make that decision at a later date. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good night, or day, or afternoon, morning.